छतरी माता की जय. So it was some 34 years back. I was standing at the edge of an AN-32, something like this person, 34 years back. And the deafening roar of the engines drowned out everything except for the cry of Chhatri Mata Ki Jai, which I and 30 other paratroopers or 30 other soldiers who were there in that AN-32 were making. Now, an AN-32 is a military aircraft which is used to drop paratroopers. It is used for a lot of other things also. And Chhatri Mata Ki is the goddess of umbrella or parachute, who's remembered very fondly and remembered before any paratroopers is going to make a jump. So that's why I said Chhatri Mata Ki Jai. Now that moment when I was going to take that first step as a paratrooper out of this aircraft is very deeply entrenched into my memory. I was taking that step and I was risking my life depending on just a piece of cloth or the parachute. I was a little afraid, I won't deny that, right? And I was just hoping that my courage would outweigh my fears, that training and my preparation along with the parachute would get me down safely to the ground. Well, the ground was zipping by, the dropping zone was approaching, and suddenly a green light comes on. Now if you see here, there's a green light on the right, which is an indication that the dropping zone has come. And there was a para instructor who was to my right, a little behind, who gave me a tap. And I stepped out into a void. And after a few seconds, the parachute gets deployed and I'm floating up on the sky. My God, it was such a wonderful, exhilarating feeling for me, right? I gave a shout of joy, right? And it was the start of an unforgettable journey for me, right? I was finally a part of the elite para fraternity and of the para signals. Now, so that decision that I took at that point of time, was it just an off-the-cuff decision? Was it just a random decision that I had made? No, it was something which I had analyzed. It was a calculated risk. Let me explain it to you. Now, risk is the possibility of any adverse outcome. That's why it's called as a risk. And by the NIST, it is defined as the level of threat an entity faces from a potential event or circumstance. So therefore, when I was taking the risk, the two players at that point were the parachute and the paratrooper to do that paratrooping. The parachute, there is a 99.9% probability that the parachute will deploy. And you also have a reserve parachute. So the overall probability of a malfunction is very, very low. And maybe if you're doing a free fall, there are actuator devices which automatically also open up the parachute, suppose if you were to have a blackout. Right? Coming to the paratrooper, that's people like me who are taking that risk. Right? You go through an intense level of training. Very, very physically strong regime is there, right? To cater for any emergent situation which might come out when you take that step till the time you land down. And even when you land down, you're able to break your fall and don't injure yourself. So if you see overall, when I took this risk, it was an excellent decision. And I think it gave me an edge in my career. I got a chance to participate with a lot of foreign countries. I got a chance to travel abroad. I took part in an ocean sailing expedition. And there were so many other opportunities which came my way. which would not have come otherwise. So somewhere on the left, you'll see I am there in the middle, just before I took this jump. We went again 2 years back, right? And on the right is in 1991, when we went for an ocean sailing expedition to the Andamans. Okay, so coming back. What I want to leave you with is, I want to also tell you that any success story which is there is a story of a risk taker. You know Jeff Bezos? Yes? Obviously, right? In 1994, he left a very cushy job in the Wall Street to do what? He opened up Amazon. That was an online portal. In its first form, it was something like an online library. I bought a book from there, right? And look at today, he's one of the wealthiest men in the world. He must have also done some certain calculations before he took that risk. Neil Armstrong, all know? Yes? Yes, no? Okay. Apollo 11 mission, 1969. He took a great risk. Now, Apollo 11 mission was fraught with dangers. It was a very risky mission. It's the first time. And today, he's remembered as being the first man on the moon. So therefore, let me leave you with a formula. Okay. A lot of risk frameworks are there, like the NIST, the Octave. They talk about risk. They talk about risk taking. Right? So I'll give you a simple formula, which even these they talk about, which you can apply to any decision that you have to take, any risk-based decision that you have to take in life. So what this says is that risk or a reward is a function of threat and a vulnerability. Can you tell me any risky decisions that you are likely to come across in the future? You want to take up a sport, scuba diving. You want to change, okay, from your current line of engineering and want to take up film directing. Okay? Like Mr. Professor Yash Ajay, you want to take up that work. You want to change yourself totally, start up a new startup. So all these decisions have a certain amount of risk. So let's talk about if you were to take up a job, a new job, would there be some threats and vulnerabilities in that decision? Yes, no? Yes. What would be those? One could be, maybe you are, let us say you are based in Bangalore or Vijayawada and the job offer is in Pune or Mumbai somewhere. You are in an MNC and you want to take up a job in a startup. So what is the threat? The threat is whether the company is going to be surviving for another year or not. The other threat would be that it's a new place, a new working environment. And what else? From Naukri it comes a new boss, right? So there are a number of threats that are there when you take this decision. Vulnerability. The vulnerability is you are married, your wife is there with you. She's also working in Bangalore. She doesn't want to move. She says, sorry, I'm not going to move because you want to move. Maybe your parents are there with you. And they say, we are from Bangalore, we have never moved, we will not move. So that's a vulnerability that you have. Maybe the new job requires you to work from jQuery to, let's say, to a React or something, right? You're going on a promotion, you're managing a team now. Maybe you were an individual performer, and now you want to manage a team. So you are probably vulnerable to it, you have never done it. So therefore, what do? Always when you're faced with any risk-based decision, there are 3 responses that you have. The first response is avoid. What does that mean? sorry, I am afraid of heights. I'm not going to be a paratrooper. Beat it. I was a little scared of heights, very frankly, right? But not so much that I couldn't take that jump, right? So maybe someone he says, no, I don't want to take up paratrooping. Or I don't want to move from this place to the next place. But let's say you want to take that risk. You want to do that. You say it's a very good promotion opportunity for me. The remunerations are very high. What do? That it gives me greater financial stability. So the option, therefore, then with you are that you reduce the risk. That means you reduce the right side, the threats and the vulnerabilities. And how do you do that? You have to move. You can maybe go and talk to the management. You can tell them, sir, please give me work from home. Yes, the management might agree. Or the other option is you say, maybe I might come 2 days, right? If they don't agree to pure work from home, or for a week. They say, okay, good. You've reduced the risk a little bit, right? Maybe you don't know the new platform. You can say, please enroll me into a program. I will learn from jQuery to, let's say, React. What I used to do was, when I commanded a signal regiment, it was around 800 people or so, I had never commanded such a large unit, right? There were 200 vehicles. I was responsible for their administration, for their discipline, for their training, everything. That's the first time when I was sitting on the hot seat. And there were decisions that would come to you daily, right? So I would reach out to someone. That's called as mentorship. I would reach out to some senior who's there, who's already gone through it, and I would ask him to advise me. So you can also probably take up mentorship. You're taking up a team, you can have some mentor whom you can reach out to. So therefore, what you have done is, you have reduced the risk to an acceptable level, and you say, good, I will take up this job now, all right? So therefore, you can now reap the reward that comes along with the risk. And the third is transfer of the risk. The transfer of the risk is when you, like what I told you, you may ask them to enroll you into a program. So you're transferring the risk to the management. You're saying, okay, I'm ready for the job, but I will need to learn a little bit more. So at the expense and the time of the company, they will train you. You also transfer the risk when you, let's say, travel, right? Don't you travel and you take up an insurance? That's also transferring the risk, because if you miss the flight or you were to lose your baggage, you transfer the risk. Mentorship is also a transfer of the risk if you take up mentorship within the company. So these are the options that you have with you to apply to anything that comes your way. And I have been using these principles throughout. It has helped me in my transition from the military to the corporate into the field of cybersecurity. And as the Chief Information Security Officer of a financial technology company, I make risk-based decisions every day related to cloud security, data security, privacy, AI/ML, and also in my personal life. So therefore, keep this in mind, that you guys all will keep redefining your goals, keep clarifying, keep amplifying your goals in life by making calculated risks in life. Your journey of progress, success, and growth, you will keep redefining your horizons. And you will do that by putting more difficult and challenging goals in front of yourselves. That's the way you'll be able to live this life to the fullest. And also remember that taking risks also makes you very confident about your capabilities and abilities to take on greater challenges in life. So before I sign off, I'd like to leave you with a single sentence, quote or something which I'd heard someone say, and it still resonates with me, right? And that was, the greatest risk is not taking the risk. Okay? So thank you so much. Wish you all the best in your endeavors, and I'm sure you'll go places. Happy landings. Thank you.